All right, Shalom. I want to start by giving our praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and also to their elders, the men that taught them. I pray the Lord have peace, blessings, and mercy upon the households of the hopeful elect. This is the brother Shema One from the Great Millstone Houston Church, and I want to come with a lesson, just having the mindset of enduring, especially understanding there's going to be a time of, where our faith is going to be tested, where we're going to have to fully be persuaded in our own mind that, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is the only way out, sticking to his commandments, obeying, his will, and just sticking to the spirit rather than, allowing the flesh to creep in and alter our judgments, alter our mindset, and that's why what we are a part of is spiritual and it's not carnal. Like Yahweh Shai said, the true worshipers must worship in spirit and in truth. So the time is gonna come where anything that you think you've been doing in a physical or in a carnal sense, as far as how could I say it? You as far as you getting prepared and ready to endure, in a physical way, how much you work out and exercise as if you getting ready for combat. No, we're getting ready for a spiritual warfare, like on the highest level, where many people are gonna break up and fold because their faith is weak or their mind is really weak. So just having the mindset of enduring, which let's just read the scripture. Having the mindset of enduring is what I want to touch on in this lesson. So let's read this. James chapter 1:12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. That word enduring, or that word endure, means to undergo suffering without breaking, or to be made hard. And that's not easy. That shit is not easy. That's why there's a blessing attached to that. Like Yahweh Shai says, he that endureth until the end, the same shall be saved. Enduring ain't easy. Let's keep reading. Blessed is a man that endureth temptation. It's going to be a time that is going to be very oppressive. It's going to be a lot of pressure felt, and a lot of people are going to break. How they say pressure bust pipes. Well, a lot of people, aren't ready for that type of pressure. Why? Because they haven't been built up or geared towards, the spiritual matters. People get geared towards the physical, but the spiritual matters, not so much. Where you set your affections, like it tells you in Colossians, the 3rd chapter. Spiritual thoughts, things that really are beneficial for us, for what's coming. Because like it says in Proverbs, where there is no vision, the people perish. Our mind has to stay set on prophecy, where we understand what's to come rather than what it is. Because in plain sight, it's going to seem like nobody is going to be saved, like the scriptures tell you. In plain sight, it's going to seem like there's no way to make it, unless you bow down and fold up. But according to prophecy, according to the vision that we got, we understand if we endure. Let's keep reading. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, whenever it's your time to be tested, whenever it's your time, your hour of temptation, we're all going to face that, right? It says, for when he is tried, it ain't no if, it's when. Everybody is going to be tried and tested. We'll get that next. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. Why? Because you endured. You did not break. You didn't fold. You were made hard and not soft, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. The scriptures tell you, if you love the Lord, you're going to do what? Keep his commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. let's get Revelation chapter 3 and 10, because you can't escape this. You cannot dodge this, man. If you're gonna be living on the earth, you cannot escape this. Revelation 3 and 10, especially here in America. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, sticking to the script, and even, keeping the word of the Lord's patience, it is suffering within itself. Like the scriptures tell you, if you want to be a follower of Yahweh Shai, one, you got to deny yourself. You have to deny yourself, and you have to take or carry your cross daily. So that's not light within itself. But the heavy point in that verse, let me just read it, then I'm gonna come back. I'll read it, then I'll come back. Luke chapter 9. Luke chapter 9 and verse 23. And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. The point I wanted to make was, following Yahweh Shai ain't the easiest thing. Following Yahweh Shai, it comes with discipline, and it comes with endurance, carrying a cross daily, carrying your daily burdens, going against the daily temptations. Like Yahweh Shai said, evil is sufficient for itself. It's enough evil for tomorrow, so don't even worry about adding more of a load to it, today, so to speak. But we're still able to follow Yahweh Shai, having a sound mind, having upright judgments and upright ways in actual, virtues, in the highest morals, rather than being just, just physically breathing, but your morals are so low. You don't stand on anything. Your conduct isn't upright. But you got muscles, or a beard with fringes, or it looks nice, you make money, or these spiritual matters, the spiritual things. All right, because that's really what's finna be tested, our spirit. That's what's finna be tried, to see what type of spirit is within this vessel. That's why the looks, how big and bad one may seem, none of that matters with the Lord, man. At the end of the day, your spirit is finna be tested, and everybody that lacks wisdom and knowledge ain't finna be stable. And the wisdom and knowledge is of this truth. All right. So let's go back to James now. No, let me read this. Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So just continue to abound and grow in this truth, sticking to the script, man. Following Yahweh Shai whithersoever he goes. According to the doctrine that's being taught, stick with it. Don't change up. Stick with it. Apply it to your life. And it tells you everybody's finna be tried, right? Then it says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown, because it's finna be tried, and it's finna be tested to see if somebody finna take your crown. Are you finna let a Edomite, who threatens your life if you don't take the MOTB, if you don't bow down to his ways, is that worth losing your crown? Or is your fear of dying gonna come into the effect of you losing out on your crown, or whatever it may be, you losing a job, or you losing anybody, anything? A crown is at hand, or at stakes of either being attained or being taken. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. We have to just remain in this truth. Remain being on fire in the spirit for Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Let's go back to James 1 and 12, and I'll finish it. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. Why? Because, hey, you kept the word of the Lord's patience. You stuck to you were obedient to what the Lord wanted us to do, man. you know, without faking and shaking beforehand. A lot of people are going to want to hop on board whenever they start seeing prophecies in effect, rather than listening to the prophets speak before, you know, these things play out on the earth. You know, that's why seeking the Lord is important while he may be found, because the time is coming where it ain't gonna be, you know, truth is gonna be barren in the land, like the scriptures tell you in 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter, I believe. But it says, when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. Why? Because you didn't get faint-hearted. You didn't let fear creep in and throw you off your game. You didn't let nobody take your crown, right? Which the Lord hath promised to them that love him, that keep his commandments. And real quick, whenever you're tried, right, it said he shall receive his crown of life. So somebody's going to overcome, right? And having, you know, certain thoughts in your mind help you, you know, just want to keep striving and not have to, how they say, F around and find out. Because this is what the scriptures tell you. If you don't endure, the scriptures are, you know, this is what the scriptures say. Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, which is in the Apocrypha, chapter 2. And let's jump in at let's start at verse 11. It says, for the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins and saveth in time of affliction. And understanding that should put you in the mindset of being humble and contrite, you know, where the Lord is very merciful, long suffering, pitiful, and he forgives and saves. That should put you in the mindset of, hey, that's the one who is needed. The Lord don't need us, we need him. It says, verse 12 now, woe be to fearful hearts, having a fearful mind, you know, a scary coward spirit, you know, not what you look like in the flesh. You could be the biggest nigga walking around here, you know, but in spirit, in mind, you could be the biggest bitch, you know, who will bow down or take a fucking bag or sell out, or, you know, or lead the congregation astray, you know, willingly, like shit like that, you know. But let's keep reading. Woe be to fearful hearts. The spirit is gonna be tested, bro. The days we're in, the Lord is sifting spirits, and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth 2 ways. See, people who really ain't about what they, people who are hypocrites, you know, claim to be for the Lord, but you really ain't. You know, claim to fear the Lord, but you really don't. Claim to serve the Lord, but you really don't. And understanding why it's like that, because it's a gift from Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai in the first place. Like it tells you in Philippians 2, verse 8 and 9. It also tells you in Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 1 in verse 14. You know, these things are born with us. These things are a gift from the Lord, man. Verse 13, Sirach 2 and 13. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not, right? Weak-minded, you know, really not built up. You waver. You're given unto change. You're not set. Even whenever temptation and trouble comes, you know, with somebody who really does serve the Lord and has a mind towards the Lord, you're not going to dip. You're not going to scatter. Let's jump up real quick. Sirach 2 and 4. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient, meaning suffer when thou art changed to a low estate. Why? Why? What's worth it? You know, it says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Hey, that's not losing your crown, man. Acceptable men make it through suffering. Acceptable men stick to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. You could really start at the top, but just for time's sake, let's jump back down. Sirach 2:13, woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended. You will have no defense during the time of trouble, right? Woe unto you that have lost patience, and what will you do when the Lord shall visit you? Because at the end of the day, everybody has to face the judgment of the Lord. So Esau, our enemies, they'll have to get the fuck out the way, because the one who we really have to deal with and who we focus on dealing with and who we really fear, that's at the forefront of our mind, man. You know, that's why going back to the thought, allowing nobody to take our crown through anything, like it tells you, I'm thinking of Romans, the 8th chapter, or am I getting too mixed up? Hold on, let me see. Romans 8 or 2 Corinthians 4. Let me go to both. Let's go to Romans 8 first. Romans chapter 8 and verse 35. Who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Shall tribulation? Nope. Or distress? Nope. And all of this is Lord willing? No. You know, like it told us in Revelation 3:10, the Lord is going to have to keep us. You know, the Lord is going to have to be involved with us enduring. It ain't going to be nothing we could do by ourselves. Who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. And that's exactly what it is. Let me get one more. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Just going into the mindset of enduring. 2 Corinthians 4. Let's start at verse 1. Therefore, seeing we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not. Hey, the Lord brought us, into this truth. The Lord gave us the gift of faith and the ability, to continue to push and grow, with his gift. So, understanding the mercy that we receive from the Lord, bro, we keep going, to the best of our ability. Like it says, we faint not, we endure. Verse 7, but we have this treasure in earthen vessels. We got this truth in some weak flesh, some mortal bodies, right? That the excellency of the power may be of the Most High, not of us. Hey, this just further proves that all of the power and the glory goes to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. For us to have this truth in this sinful flesh, for us to maintain and to continue in this truth in this earthen vessel, which let me keep reading. It'll go into it. Verse 8, which is able to endure through what we're about to read. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Right? Hold up, let me see something. 1 Peter 5:9. All right, hold up. Let's see what this says. This is, let me finish this first. 2 Corinthians 4:8 again. It says, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. And, this is what we all have to endure, regardless of what comes. It tells you it's going to be trouble, persecutions, perplexity, despair, distress. But at the same time, we are not forsaken. Why? Because we still got this treasure, right? We still got this truth. We could be cast down, you know, how it says we could be changed to a lower state, as it's told us in Sirach. But guess what? We're not destroyed. We're not destroyed. Why? If we continue to endure, right? The Lord tells us we're going to be saved. There's a crown restored for us. But real quick, 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse, I'll start at verse 8. It says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking who he may devour. It says, whom resist in the faith, whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. So we all go through this. You know, hey, we're all a part of this fight, right? But verse 10, but the God of all grace, who hath called us into his eternal glory by Hamashiach Yahushua, after that ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strength, settle you. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. You know, and that's the mindset, man. Just suffering for a little while, you know, which, as it tells you in James, real quick, to land back off of what we just read in Peter, James chapter 1 and 2, my brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations or sufferings, knowing this, that the trying or the testing of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing, you know, being complete. So, you know, I'll end it there. I pray this lesson was edifying to the Lord's elect. Again, I want to give our praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And Lord willing, to the next time I say shalom.